What's up, Cougs? I am your host of Unorthodox Sports, Squabo, and today we are bringing you guys our NFL Championship Week preview. We cannot wait for the slate of games this Sunday. Beautiful matchups between quarterbacks that we've wanted to see match up in the playoffs, especially the Super Bowl, for a very long time. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, and on the other side of the bracket, a brilliant matchup potentially if Mahomes is able to get on the field this Sunday, coming back from concussion protocols. We might get the chance to see Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen, arguably the two best quarterbacks in the AFC right now. So brilliant quarterback matchups, brilliant team matchups coming up this week. We saw some upsets this previous week. We saw some crazy games. I cannot wait to get into that. And with me today to talk about these things, on my left shoulder, Mr. Sports Director himself of KUGR, Asher Lind. Asher, great to have you on the show.
What up? It's good to be here again. Happy first day of class, everyone. I know we've been dreading it, but it's my last first day. Glad to get it over with. A little bittersweet, but happy to be here as always.
Asher, just congratulations once again. So exciting. Your graduation. Thanks, right around the corner.
Coming up.
On my right shoulder, the young fella, just like myself, Aaron Monson. Aaron, great to have you on the show.
Well, it's good to be here once again. Happy first day of classes to everybody. Asher, it's crazy to me that you're graduating, and I'm going to miss you, but I mean, it's congratulations, like no one
Thanks,
saying.
dude. And I'm going to miss you guys too. It's just crazy to me. These 4 years just flew by. Like,
Honestly.
how all the parents tell you in high school, like, oh, these 4 years of high school are going to go by, and then you get there and you're like, wow, they weren't kidding. And then college is just even faster. I don't know how it was faster, but crazy stuff, man.
It is. Definitely is.
Yeah, Asher, it's a pleasure and an honor to learn from you in your final days here. I hope I can take this pupillage and grow and become like you one day.
Oh, I appreciate that. Let's start on Thursday with the Utah game. How about it?
Yeah. I'm so excited. I finally get to call my first game at all on the radio on KUGR this Thursday. Men's basketball versus Utah, 7 p.m. Be there or be square. And I'm so excited. I didn't even know who I was going to get to call it with. And just before the show, Asher revealed to me the biggest secret, but the biggest surprise, how brilliant and how excited I am to be able to call it with Asher.
I'm excited, dude. It's going to be Utah. Utah's looking really good right now. I got a couple really good keys to go over when we get to there. But no, I'm really excited to call it with you, man. Happy to be there for your first one.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited. You got me hyped just thinking about it. All right, let's talk some sports, fellas. Tampa Bay versus New Orleans this past weekend. I want to point out something that I noticed from this game that kind of shocked me throughout the playoffs. Every single team in the playoffs that played at a divisional rival, whether it was the wild card or the divisional round so far, and there are no more divisional rivals left in the playoffs, so that is the entirety of the 2020 playoffs. Every team that played at a divisional rival, the road team won the matchup. What an interesting statistic and an interesting theme that we see in the NFL playoffs, showing that divisional matchups in the playoffs are extremely dangerous. The only other road team to win in the playoffs, gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, Tampa Bay at Washington, and everyone here knows that no team from the NFC East truly was good enough to be in the playoffs. But Tampa Bay beats New Orleans this previous weekend. Is Drew Brees done after this football game? The implications are huge. Jameis Winston comes in and throws a touchdown. Where did the New Orleans Saints go at quarterback? How brilliant was Tom Brady in this game? Let's get your thoughts, gentlemen, after a horrific loss last time these two teams played in Tampa Bay and two dominant victories for New Orleans in the regular season. What happened to New Orleans to cost them this playoff disappointment once again? Aaron, let's go to you.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that stands out to me is the 3 picks that Drew Brees threw. I mean, he threw. That's not very Drew Brees-like of him, especially in the playoffs. Like, I get that he has been historically good in the playoffs, and he's going up against one of the, possibly the best playoff quarterback of all time within Tom Brady. But 3 picks and only 1 thrown touchdown, that's a 1-to-3 ratio. That's not good. That's not very Drew Brees-like at all. That's not how I wanted to see Drew Brees go out, especially at the end of the season when it's most likely going to be his last. I mean, he's been in the league since 2001. He got picked up by the Chargers in 2001. That was the year I was born. dude, this guy's been in the league like almost longer than I've been alive, which is crazy to me. And I mean, I don't see him going out because like even at the end of the game when how Drew was throwing the ball with his kids around the field and his wife's down there and Tom Brady came out and like he threw a touchdown to his son, whatever. It was super cool, super heartwarming moment. It's like game respects game in that sense, and I just don't like. It was just unfortunate to see the Saints not have a great game and just kind of get outworked by the Buccaneers in the end.
Completely agree. The moment after the game, watching Drew Brees with his kids and Tom Brady, that was a really good thing to watch. Drew Brees throws the ball with his left hand for some of those tosses, leading to questions. Was his throwing arm okay in that ball game? Asher, let's go to you. What was your takeaway from Tom Brady's brilliance?
I think we kind of talked about it it was either last week or the week before. Playoff Tom Brady. Like, just don't doubt him. I know they got absolutely worked in the regular season against the divisional matchups, but they definitely tightened things up for the playoffs, and I didn't expect anything less from Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. All the experience, all the playoff experience they have there, and not saying Drew Brees doesn't have any, but it seems like we've seen. I saw this stat too, and whenever Drew Brees gets to the playoffs, it seems like, except for the year they won the Super Bowl, but Tom Brady has as many playoff victories against NFC opponents than Drew Brees. They both have 8 victories now that Tom Brady has won. And Tom Brady, this is his first year in the NFC, so it's kind of interesting to look at that. But the Saints just haven't been very successful in the playoffs, and this week wasn't any different. Michael Thomas finished with 0 catches. They just put him on an island, and he couldn't get off of it anyway, anyhow, any shape. But I thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did a really great job of shutting him down. And then the defense, again, like I said, picking Brees off 3 times was another big key. And playoff Tom just came through and delivered another classic performance from him, I thought. And I think they have a really good shot to beat the Packers next week. But it's supposed to be, I think, 24 degrees or something, and it's supposed to be snowing. And so it's going to be a little different than Tampa Bay weather, but it's definitely going to be a really good game next week. I just feel bad for Drew Brees too, like you were saying, Aaron. Like, I don't know if you guys saw it, but the picture of him looking back at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as he's heading into the tunnel, into the locker room, I just felt bad for him because I'm a big Drew Brees fan. He's just so easy to root for, I just can't think of a way to root against him or something
Really?
like that. So that was a little devastating to me to watch, but heck of a career to Drew Brees, even if he does hang it up right here. So he's first in he's either first or second with Tom Brady in all the stats that matter, like touchdowns, total yards, completion percentage, all those. Like, the comparisons are just unreal, but the playoff experience and the playoff success definitely favors Tom Brady there.
Hey, no question about it. Drew Brees, an excellent career. Hard to root against him, but I'm not gonna lie. Every single time typically when a team heads into the playoffs and they have a curse going against them, I almost want to see the curse get worse. I want to see them continue to lose, and I feel that way about the Saints. But in this game specifically, I did root for New Orleans because I would love to see Drew Brees end up on top. So I did root for New Orleans. I would have preferred New Orleans won, but I'm happy to see Tom Brady, or not necessarily Tom Brady. I'm happy to see the Buccaneers advance because of their last matchup with Green Bay, and because of the fact that it pains New England very, very much, and that makes me happy as well. So there are a lot of little things that go into it, but Asher, you brought up a really interesting stat about Tom Brady. I'm going to bring another one to the table. Tom Brady now, just shout out to America's team. Tom Brady now has many conference championship appearances in the NFC as Dallas in the last 20 years. Aaron, you had something to add?
My microphone was okay. I mean, I was just saying, like, why would you shout out America's team if you're why would you shout Tom Brady out? I don't know. That's just something I was confused with. But like, did you see that quote from Bruce Arians after the game where he's like, sometimes I just let Tom do his thing. I don't know. He
just sits back and lets him.
He sits back and lets Tom coach.
He was saying New England. He was saying New England didn't let Tom do that.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not about that. I'm just gonna sit back and let Tom do his thing.
Well, I mean, it's like, it almost makes you wonder, like, the relationship that Belichick and Tom had towards the end, if, like, he didn't let Tom do his thing. But, like, then again, it's Bill Belichick, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to tell with him sometimes.
Yeah, I know, he's hard to read. Yeah.
They were definitely sitting on eggshells in that relationship, eager to get away and prove who could be more successful by themselves and without the other, who deserves henceforth more credit for the dynasty in New England. And so far, it's looking like Tom Brady won the breakup.
Definitely looking like Tom Brady. Because there's this thing I read that if Belichick retires, because he could definitely call it quits in 2 weeks. I'm not saying he will or won't, but I'm saying there's a thing on ESPN or somewhere, hypothetically, if he retires and they lose Josh McAdams, they could be the worst team in the NFL, and they wouldn't be far from it if they lost Belichick and their offensive coordinator. Because losing Tom Brady was detrimental to them. And we saw that this year. They didn't even make the playoffs for the first time in forever. So it's definitely something to look at going forward. Not something I thought I'd hear myself saying the Patriots would be the worst team in the NFL, but it's definitely not that far from reality if they lose Belichick.
Surprised to hear it, but you love to hear it. I'm
not complaining.
Very few people out there that disagree, I'm sure, at least outside of the Foxborough area. Gentlemen, the New Orleans Saints need to move on from Drew Brees potentially this offseason if Drew Brees does, in fact, retire. Where do they go? Taysom Hill, a mobile quarterback who they've used as a complete Swiss Army knife in special teams, punts, kickoff. They've used him in pretty much every aspect of the game. Or Jameis Winston, who came in and threw a trick play touchdown in that ball game. Where do you go at quarterback this offseason if Drew Brees retires? Let's go to you first, Aaron.
I mean, Taysom Hill is probably your best option as of right now. Like, just to try him out. Like, honestly, if we get a preseason this next year, which I hope we will, with vaccines being distributed and everything. I mean, maybe just rotate through Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston a little bit, because Jameis Winston threw an absolute dot to the guy down the field. And granted, he was wide open, but I mean, still, that's your is he their third string technically if Taysom Hill's their second?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's still your third string quarterback throwing a dot. That doesn't happen very often. But, you could rotate. I don't think they should try to draft a quarterback right now because all the really good ones are going to be taken before, fifth pick is over with. But, I honestly say give Taysom Hill a chance and give Jameis Winston a chance in the preseason and see if they can consistently run an offense. And, because, they're both talented players. And I think that Jameis Winston was awesome in college. And I think, they both have a halfway decent shot. Taysom Hill, I feel has more so because he's been playing more. But, they both have a possibility of being a starter for New Orleans.
Asher.
So they both definitely have opportunity to be a starter in New Orleans because we saw what they can do with Taysom Hill. They had success this year when Drew Brees was hurt battling that rib injury earlier. And before I get on to who I think they should go with, I want to give credit to Jameis Winston for going out and throwing a dot, like you mentioned, because Sean Payton drew that play up from the Bears. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that's the exact same. That's the exact same play. If you look at it, that's the same play Chicago tried to run against them, where they have the quarterback set out in the slot and then they bring him back for the fake, and then they had a guy in the end zone, and I don't know. I remember if you guys if you watched it or not, but yep, it was the one that the Bears receiver dropped.
Oh,
the Saints were able to draw that up and run it successfully, and Jameis ran it to perfection. So I want to give credit to him.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were able to do it, if I was Sean Payton and their GM, I would go for Deshaun Watson. I think he's just too. I think he's just too good. I think you should trade Jameis for him. I would go with Deshaun over Jameis because there is a lot of upside to Jameis Winston because he had 30 touchdowns last season with the Bucs, and he is a cannon like Deshaun, but there's a lot of risk. The 30 they were talking about with those 30 interceptions that he also had last year, the first 30 for 30, if you will. And so I think if you give up Deshaun Watson draft picks and I don't know who else you would give. Maybe a second string receiver. I say go for Deshaun. I think Deshaun's upside is too big for them.
I would agree. The same thing. Before we go to you, Noah, I would just saying if it was just a straight Deshaun for Jameis trade, I don't think that's possible.
Unless Bill O'Brien somehow finds his way back into the office, that can't happen. You have to give up at least a couple draft picks for Jameis. Because Jameis is good, but when you compare them side by side,
Deshaun takes the cake. Yeah.
Deshaun is so much better in just about every single category. He's got the cannon for the arm. He's got the legs to make plays. He just has a high football IQ. He's able to run it out. He's able to extend plays. He's just able to do a lot of things. And Houston is just not the place. It's like James Harden. almost in the NBA. Like it
Yeah.
just wasn't working for him in Houston, and that's the same thing with Deshaun Watson. I think he just needs to find a new home. Again, we've seen it with Brooklyn. Like, look how great James Harden and Kevin Durant is. Like, I wanted to tweet, I was like, maybe one ball is enough for these Nets, but they also haven't played without Kyrie, so that we still have to wait on that. But they look awesome with James Harden. Not to go on a tangent there, but I think going for Deshaun is your best option. It would take a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's where they should go.
Man, you bring up the idea of going for Deshaun Watson at quarterback for New Orleans. I think that is an interesting proposal. I think it's a brilliant fit if you can make it work. Trading Jameis Winston is not going to be close to enough, and New Orleans is a team that does value their draft picks very highly. They love those first-round picks. They trade players away to get those first-round picks. So it'd be them flipping the script a little bit, but for a guy like for a guy like Deshaun Watson, it might be worth it, and I say go for it if I was New Orleans. I like the idea a lot, but there is a lot of negotiating still to happen if that were to go through.
Yeah, for sure. And one more thing, he has a lot of suitors too. Like the Jets need a quarterback. The Dolphins are probably going to look at Deshaun Watson, try to move off of Tua or Fitzmagic at some point. Like there's so many teams trying to get Deshaun Watson right now. Chicago, another one. They have a bit of instability there with Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles, who didn't really play up to the hype when they signed him at the beginning of the year. There's just so many people looking for Deshaun Watson right now. So I think the Saints' job is probably a little more attractive than some of the others, because you have Michael Thomas, an elite receiver. You have Jared Cook, a really good tight end, who did fumble in that game, but he's a really good blocker. You got Alvin Kamara, arguably one of the best top 2 running backs. Him and Derrick Henry, you could interchange them at 1 and 2, depending on the week. And Sean Payton, who's probably one of the best 5 coaches, I'd say, has a Super Bowl ring under
he's so
his belt.
smart. He's a smart coach.
He's able to, like the playmaking, like we said, able to go back at the Chicago game, be like, hey, we like this play, let's use it in 7 days, and they ran it to perfection. So they have a really great coach too. There's not a lot wrong with New Orleans right now, but if you go out and get Deshaun, like if you can sell out to Deshaun Watson, and you can get a trade for him, I'd say do it.
Well,
that's a huge hole to fill too. Like coming to fill Drew Brees, who's like
big to fill. Plus, it gets him out of the AFC. He doesn't have to play Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Should he get to the playoffs with the Saints, he doesn't have to go up against Tannehills of the world, And Brees is going to be gone. Rodgers is going to be gone. Brady has limited days ahead of him. Like the NFC could be his for the taking.
Well, and you get playoff clutch guy with a nice deep ball that replaces timid, struggles in the playoff, doesn't throw the deep ball. Drew Brees. So it's a whole role reversal. It's like Jameis Winston, but minus the interceptions and add a little bit of fitness and mobility. That's what you're getting with Deshaun Watson, and I feel like that would be a good replacement for Drew Brees, as the gentlemen agree. Cleveland, though, this past weekend played Kansas City and ended up losing by only 5 points. I had a little bet with my roommate going for that one, won a little bit more stake. He gave me 10 points, 11 points or more for a victory of Kansas City would have won him the stake, and I took the under. Thankfully, a low-scoring game, and Patrick, in large part because Patrick Mahomes goes down with a concussion. What does this mean for Cleveland? Well, they were down big in the game and found a way back in the second half before coming up short when it mattered the most to backup quarterback Chad Henne of Kansas City, who made some very game-changing plays, huge plays down the stretch. I want to hear what your guys' thoughts were on this game and Chad Henne's performance. Let's switch to order. Asher, let's go to you. What was your reaction to Cleveland coming up short in the end?
Andy Reid is the gutsiest coach in the NFL. That was my immediate reaction watching that play. I cannot name a whole lot of other coaches other than Coach Reid who would have drawn up a shotgun snap to this flat out on 4th and inches. I mean, hey, it worked for him. Man, I mean, Henne did great. Cleveland had it like a 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 15 after they got the sack from Myles Garrett, and then Henne just pulled a rabbit out of his hat, pulled a couple of them, and then able to find Tyreek Hill, able to get it to 4th and manageable, and able to do a big credit to Cleveland, though. I thought they played a heck of a second half. They did find themselves in a hole, much like the Steelers did when they played Cleveland. It was just a totally different Cleveland team. Like, they did not. I was watching the game. I was like, are these the same amounts that put up 28 against the Steelers? I just don't believe that. But it's a little different there when you look at it. But Nick Chubb, man, I think he's going to be really, really good. He's already emerging as like a top 10 running back. Like, I think he's like half a step under the Camaras, Derrick Henrys of the world. Like, he's super being considered like a top tier, like an elite running back. I think he just these yards. He just puts his head down and he just bull runs. He's quite opposite of Le'Veon Bell, who just takes his time. He just tries to plow through you, kind of like Derrick Henry does. So I think they have a lot to look. To look to. Like, they got their first playoff win forever. They got to the playoffs. They broke their drought, which I think was the longest drought in the league. They definitely have a bright future for sure, which is kind of weird for me being a Steelers fan claiming that. But they definitely have a lot of good pieces moving forward. And Kevin Stefanski should be in the coaching of the year conversation, I think, for Cleveland. I think he did a really good job coaching Cleveland this year.
100%. Apologies for the lag issues right now. I'm receiving some lag. Asher might have been as well, or that was all on my side. But Aaron, let's go to you. Let's get your reaction to the Cleveland-Kansas City matchup and how it went down last weekend.
I had no idea who Chad Henne was until this game. I legit did not know. I was so focused on just Patrick Mahomes just being their quarterback, and then seeing him go down was shocking. And I was like, holy crap, Cleveland might have a chance. And then Chad Henne runs the ball on 3rd and 14 and makes it 4th and inches. And I was like, holy crap, never mind, that's it. Kansas City's going back to the AFC Championship for the 2nd year in a row. But I mean, everything else, like Asher kind of just said everything I was thinking. Like, this is not the same Cleveland team that played the Steelers a week or 2 weeks ago. I was shocked. Like, I was really hoping for, like, granted, it was a fairly close game, but, you know, when you don't put up any points in the second quarter and Kansas City puts up 13, that's when you start to realize, oh crap, they're starting to pull away a little bit. And, you know, they did shut them down in the fourth quarter, holding them to no points, but it just wasn't enough. And I really wanted Baker Mayfield to go to the AFC Championship to play against Buffalo.
What a story that would have been.
Can you imagine? Could you imagine, dude? It would have been insane. And I mean, you know, I'm just upset. I'm just sad about it. I mean, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce had a combined 219 yards. Like, what the heck?
They're hard to guard. They're pretty hard to guard.
You can't guard either of them.
Another thing to think of is, I'm sure you guys saw it, but how Coach Reed is the only person to ever coach 2 teams to back-to-back championship or division title games. Because he did it. He had that 3-peat with the Eagles back in the early 2000s. Now he's done it with Kansas City. He just the coaching is just so much better. Like, there's just so much more experience and there's so much more guts. It's like, I don't think like if the Browns had it 4th and 1, I don't think Kevin Stefanski would have called that. I think Andy Reid's just got the guts and the experience and the know-how. He just says, you know, we got nothing to lose here. Let's just go out and win the game. And that's what
honestly
he did.
Yeah, he's just like, he's a gutsy coach, and like, you can also tell that he's very confident in everything in every decision he makes too. But yeah, I mean, I expected the Chiefs to win, but I really wanted the Browns to win. I really did.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be close because the way Cleveland went out beat Pittsburgh, I was like, okay, Cleveland will come out and find a way to make this a close game. And Patrick Mahomes going down with a concussion is not how I envisioned it, and I really hope he gets better. And I don't know if he can play there in the championship game, but it would be a heck of a story if Henne gets the start, because I think his backup would either be I forgot who the third stringer is, but someone you guys might know, Anthony Gordon, former Washington State quarterback, signed a futures and reserve contract with them, so he could hypothetically get brought up. You never know. I think that'd be a heck of a story.
That'd be crazy. That'd make me a Chiefs fan.
I would go buy a Chiefs hat right. Immediately after.
Who was the guy from the XFL? He played in St. Louis. What's his name? Didn't they pick him up in the preseason? In the XFL. I'm totally blanking on his name right now. I don't know if you guys would know.
I know who you're talking about. I think that you have them. But it'd still be cool to see Gordon in the Super Bowl.
Oh,
but,
Jordan Ta'amu or whatever. Or
Yeah, yeah.
Ta'amu. Yeah, Jordan Ta'amu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have him still? Is that?
I mean,
he might be the third string.
Yeah, they signed him to a 1-year deal. So.
I see.
the squad right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 20. So, I mean, it appears that he's on the team. So.
Yeah. Well, this matchup, you talk about the head coaching differences between Andy Reid and Kevin Stefanski. I don't know if I completely agree that Stefanski wouldn't have gone for it on 4th and inches in that scenario, just because they went for it so many times and they converted as well on previous drives. But when it mattered the most, they didn't end up going for it because they didn't put themselves in a very good position. It was 4th and 9 when they did end up punting it because of a unfortunate turn of events for Cleveland, but you just gotta tip your hat to Andy Reid. And you saw Tyreek Hill getting upset on the sideline, getting motivated. He wanted the ball, and then he comes in and makes a terrific grab that shouldn't have been challenged, as well as a bunch of plays down the stretch, including the game-winning play at the end. So he definitely stepped up big and did a great job so being. Buffalo beat Baltimore this weekend as well. Lamar Jackson got injured in this game also, and a bad weekend in terms of quarterback health. I want to get you guys' thoughts on Buffalo's win 17-3, including the playoff-tying longest pick 6 in NFL history. Asher, let's go to you first.
I was kind of shocked. I was a little more shocked at this than the Browns losing, because Justin Tucker missed multiple field goals in the game. Not that it would have made a difference in the end, but that's just the mindset that the Ravens had throughout the game. And I know that Buffalo win was just absolutely wild, and it takes a lot to make a field goal and win. Like, it takes a lot for an NFL kicker to make a regular field goal. I certainly can't do it, but it's just that mindset, because Justin Tucker's known as probably one of the most clutch kickers to ever play football.
I know.
Never be a police kicker. And after he missed that second one, it's just that, we can't get anything right this year. And then Lamar Jackson gets hurt, and then you don't score in 3 of the 4 quarters. It just all kind of fell apart for the Ravens. There, it just kind of felt like Buffalo's just a better team. One day, just continue to show how great of a fit he is for Buffalo with Josh Allen. It's kind of the new era versus old era. Like, you have Allen and Mahomes. You have Allen and Mahomes in the AFC, and then you have Rodgers and Brady in the NFC. They're both going to be really great matchups. But I just saw this coming to the Ravens. I didn't expect them to put up just 3 points, but I definitely knew the Bills would hand it to them.
I felt the same way.
They were just a better team all around, and Allen definitely played like it.
Yeah, definitely. And having Lamar not play the entire game too had something to do with it, I feel like, as well.
Absolutely, because a lot of the Ravens' game plan revolves around Lamar Jackson.
Oh yeah,
because of how dynamic and unique he is.
And like like, I remember watching him play against the Huskies and watching them beat him, which is fantastic. I love that. But I mean, back up to have, but he's not Lamar Jackson. So I mean, Lamar also threw a pick too, which is it's just some of the performances by these quarterbacks like Lamar and Drew Brees that wasn't what I expected from these guys. I mean, Lamar got MVP last year, and like, granted, he did make it to the divisional playoffs, but I also wanted Buffalo to win, so I'm not really super upset about it. But I mean, I just don't think you can stop Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
They're definitely playing at elite level right now. I feel like Allen put himself into the MVP conversation. I don't think he'll get it. I think Rodgers has a lot.
You think so?
I think it's just with Green Bay, just leading him and Devontae Adams, all the touchdowns they got this year, and everything he's been able to do. I think he's got MVP right now, but I want Packers Bills Super Bowl. I think that would be
a Packers Bills Super Bowl would be fantastic.
That's what I want. Not just because I don't want to see Tom Brady.
Well, that's part of the reason.
He's been to about 20 of them.
Are you man? Tampa Bay, Kansas City. How about that matchup? How about Tom Brady versus Kansas City? To be honest, I'd rather see. Out of the 4 remaining teams, I want Buffalo to win. I want Buffalo to win.
We agree on that. To be fair, Brady versus Mahomes in the Super Bowl would be a much for the age.
Yeah, it would be.
I'll give you that spot. That would be a heck of a
be.
But Brady,
that would be something.
that would be extremely exciting. But I feel like the most likely matchup at this point, Green Bay, Buffalo, the two teams that, in my opinion, are the hottest right now in either conference. Green Bay beat the Los Angeles Rams last weekend, and Sean McVay left question marks about the status of Jared Goff as a starting quarterback this offseason in his post-game press conference. I want to know where you guys stand on all this. Green Bay dominated the Rams when it mattered the most, and Sean McVay didn't seem very pleased with Jared Goff, nor should he be. Aaron, let's go to you first. What are your thoughts on Goff in LA?
I don't see a reason why. It's been a consistently playoff team. Like, he's a quarterback that gets you to the playoffs every single year. So I don't really think that there's much of a reason to get rid of him. Like, granted, it wasn't his best performance ever, but that shouldn't be a reason to get rid of him. I mean, Jared Goff, he sits well in Los Angeles. He's got a good relationship. He's a great leader on his team. He knows his strengths and he knows his team's strengths. And I just don't think I don't think Sean McVay, like, I have a huge respect for Sean McVay, youngest coach. And I just don't. I get the frustration, but you're playing the Packers, right? Packers are a really good team. Like, their defense is always good, but like, I just don't think that's enough of a reason to cut Jared Goff if he got you this far, and he consistently gets you this far almost every year. So,
Asher.
That is true, but when you only get so far, like,